Hey everyone, I'm here at SHOT Show 2018 at the Bergara rifle booth. Just for a reference, my exposure to Bergara was actually really recent. One of my friends at the range had a brand new rifle that he brought in. He'd been running it all day, and he's like, hey man, you gotta come down here and shoot it. So I got behind it. It was a 6.5 Creedmoor. I was like, okay, this looks fancy. Proof is in the pudding. We'll see what happens. I put 2 rounds, one on top of the other at 100 yards, and I figured at my shooting ability, if I can do that, there's something about these rifles that caught my attention. So we were out here on Monday at the range day, and we shot a couple of their rifles at, I think it was like 960 yards or something like that.
That's right.
Which is the furthest I've ever shot, was that day, a couple different rifles, and every single one hit steel at 960 yards, which again, is like 3 times the distance that I'd ever shot before. So,
well, I'm proud for you.
Well, hey, I appreciate it. And the rifles made it ridiculously easy. And the 2 rifles we were shooting were the Hmr Pro in 6.5 Creedmoor and the Approach, which I believe was also in 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yes, sir. So everything we had on range day there that day was chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor, and those 2 guns that you're talking about are basically these 2 guns here. So we got the Approach up top and the Hmr Pro down at the bottom here.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about the Hmr Pro line and kind of what makes a difference from, say, the average HMR that people may already be familiar with?
Okay, so just so you guys are aware, we have there's 2 family members or 2 series. We have the B14 series and the Premier series, and one way that you can tell those apart very quickly is if you roll this bolt back, you see this bolt here is fluted. So if you see a Bergara rifle and it has a fluted bolt, it's always going to be a Premier series. So basically, at the end of the day, one has power windows and one has roll-up windows. They're both really amazing shooters. So if you have if you're familiar with our brand and you follow social media stuff, this last year I traveled through the southeast, hosting what we call the Bergara experiences. So we had a standard HMR, the B14 family, and I taught people in 4 different states within minutes how to shoot 1,000 yards behind this gun here, or behind this little brother. So new for 2018 is the Hmr Pro, and not that this is going to shoot any better or any worse than a standard B14 HMR. This just has some more bells and whistles at the end of the day. So what we did, one thing, so you can see them, can tell that they're totally different, is the stock color has changed, where the standard HMR is brown stock. This here has the gray, or the darker gray with the light gray speckles on it. Like I said, this one, Premier Series, has the fluted bolt. One cool thing about the fluted bolt is it is a quarter turn with a firing pin removal. So I can quarter turn the back of this behind the bolt, remove the firing pin for quick disassemble and quick field cleaning if you need to do that.
And that's all toolless, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just
click and it slides out.
Yep.
Another cool thing is, so if you guys are long range shooters and really dialed into really, I guess not want to say custom, but having a top-end gun, you know that you got to have an amazing trigger assembly. So one thing that we changed between the HMR and the Hmr Pro, the Hmr has a Bergara trigger in it, which we manufacture ourselves, which is in fact fully adjustable and a great trigger. But one thing we did to separate the Hmr and Hmr Pro is in this gun here, we put a Trigger Tech trigger assembly in it. And if you're not familiar with it, it absolutely is amazing. Number 1, it's frictionless. Number 2, you can do a trigger job on this Trigger Tech trigger without removing the barrel to action out of the stock, which at the end of the day is amazing to be able to do that.
There's not many options out there that'll allow you to do that. Most of them you have to remove it from the stock.
Yes.
And a lot of guys, especially those long-range precision shooters, you have your torque specs just right, and once you get it set, the last thing you want to do is have to take it all apart to just make a minute adjustment. This keeps you from having to do that, which is pretty sweet.
And basically all you have to do is just roll the gun over, and on the bottom side, right in front of the trigger shoe here, there's an Allen head. So you just take an Allen head wrench, run it in there, and adjust it. And there it is audible click. So every time you move it, it's click, click, click. It's almost like a ball or a ball to tent, where it actually has some resistance on it. And every time that you move that or feel that click, it actually adjusts itself 2 ounces. So this trigger will go from a pound and a half to 4 pounds, depending on what the shooter wants. Everybody's different.
Right. And when it comes to feeling triggers and how they feel, it's hard to show it on camera, but I can tell you just from my own experience shooting them out at range day and the one that my friend has, I mean, it just feels amazing.
It's smooth as butter.
Very crisp break. It's just a very pleasurable experience. And you guys also have an adjustable cheek height for whatever kind of scope or ring someone's running, and AI pattern mags, correct?
Yes, sir. And also, too, if you notice at the back here, there's these plates, if you will, that has lines in here in the back. So you can actually adjust the length of pull by just taking the butt pad screws out at the back. So this gun is very adjustable to about any shape, size, and form of human being that wants to get behind this gun. And that's one reason we use it at the Bergara experiences that we did this last year, because we had 100 shooters come online to shoot 1,000 yards with us, and they were all shapes and sizes. So using this platform made it very easy to adapt to everybody.
Yeah, and one thing that I've liked about this one that I noticed at range day was the location of the safety. Maybe for us righties, it might be a little bit more convenient, but still in a really good spot. And even with it on safe, you can still work the action.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to worry about it locking up. It very, very smooth action. It just feels good at hand, and everything's right where you want it to be and operates in a way that I prefer, at least.
And then on this gun here, everything that you see, we manufacture ourselves in-house, with the exception of the trigger. We do everything else. And of course now the barrel is Cerakoted gray, but underneath this Cerakote is everything is stainless steel. So it's a stainless steel action, stainless steel barrel assembly. The barrel is a number 5 taper, and as you can see on the end, it is actually already set and ready to go for a break or a can or suppressor if you want to use that as well.
Right. Yeah, and again, especially for those of you hunters out there, if you're in a state that allows you to hunt with a suppressor, this just sets you up from the factory, so you don't have to go to a gunsmith and hope that he gets the threads concentric to the bore. Everything's ready to go right out of the box. So along with this one, we were also shooting, like I said, the approach. Or anything else about this one that you wanted to cover?
No, I think that's pretty good.
So let's go ahead and talk about the approach.
Okay.
Obviously, the HMR is definitely set up as like a bench rest gun. It's at least seeming to me. Granted, you can definitely hike around the woods with it, but this one seems like it's a little bit more suited for the hunter or the stalker kind of thing.
Yeah, so basically stuff we just talked about, the TriggerTech trigger, the stainless steel action, the stainless steel barrel, the number 5 taper, threaded on the end, all that's the same in between these two guns here. And it comes down to basically fit and feel and what's going to better suit the purposes that you're going after. And yes, this is probably more designed towards the guy that's going to take to the mountain with this gun here.
Right.
This gun here is going to weigh just on the low side of 9 pounds. This stock here is a hand-laid fiberglass stock, where on the HMR Pro it's about, it's high 9s, 9.9, something like that, right under 10 pounds. So this guy here is a little heavier, so this is definitely much more dedicated to the long-range shooter hunter.
Right. And now this fancy pattern isn't just something you guys have set up on a cool one for SHOT Show. This is actually a pattern that's available from you guys, correct?
No, if you see this approach in a store, it's going to be this exact setup.
Right. So you don't have to worry about painting yourself. You guys know I like spray painting my guns, but this pretty much sets you up right from the factory. I know in the Pacific Northwest, where I'm out of, this would fit in well in the mountains, and even probably in Eastern Oregon where it's all desert. So it's a really good pattern for kind of covering all your bases and not just like, the woodland camo that's only going to work in certain environments. So that's really great. And again, same exact thing with the safety, same exact thing with a very smooth bolt. And again, we shot this at 960 yards, and I was able to make contact. So if I can make contact, I'm pretty sure you guys can. Now, anything else you wanted to cover on this guy?
So one thing too, if you notice here on this side here, these holes in the side of the stock, that's just not a spot that we just didn't put anything. Basically this right here is for new design sling, which some of the tactical guys are already aware that this is a flush cup design. So basically if you're a hunter, and let me just use you an example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does he look like a model? He's a model.
Well, I do what I can.
So basically, if you're in the mountains and you got a standard sling, this magazine is going to be digging into his back like that, which is not comfortable. So with the flush cup design, the sling actually will attach to the side, which allow the gun to lay flat on his back. So it makes it a lot easier once you're hiking up and down the mountains. And if you're from the Pacific Northwest, you know what mountains is like.
Yeah, we got a lot of terrain over there. So again, we're just kind of focusing on these ones. They have a bunch of other models. You guys do a bunch of different calibers, obviously.
Yes, sir.
But one of the things that I find very interesting about Bergara rifles, and one thing that I think makes them really appealing, is you guys have a very attention to detail oriented process for the actual making of the gun. So you can kind of walk through the process that these things go through?
Yep, so just a little background. And again, we have a B14 in the Premier Series. The B14 position of our family is made in Bergara, Spain. That's where we make our barrels. The B14 is all assembled over there. In the Premier, which is what we're talking about here, the Approach and HMR Pro, they're all assembled in Lawrenceville, Georgia. So we make this gun, one gunsmith makes this gun. So it is a production rifle, understand, but at the end of the day, it's a custom gun too, because one gunsmith builds this gun. Now the really cool thing that I love and enjoy about these Premier Series is I have a target here in my hand. This is just not just a random target. So if you purchase a Premier gun, whether it's a mountain rifle, a HMR Pro, or Approach, you're going to know what your gun does before you actually put a scope on it. Because what we do is one gunsmith builds this gun, then he in fact then takes it to a range, shot by a human being in a normal situation with factory loads, and we give you this target so that you're aware of what your gun shoots before you ever scope it. So this data card right here gives you the group that this gun shot, again, under normal situations.
Right.
And also on the data card here tells you, well, number one, how big the group is, which you obviously can see this, but also tells you what ammunition we used as well. And again, we're using all ammunition that you guys can purchase on the shelf at pretty much any dealer in the country. So you never have to worry about getting a Monday or Friday gun, per se, if you will, because you know what that gun shoots before you actually take it to the range.
Yeah, and again, knowing what ammo you will work with it, great, and see the results right off the bat is awesome, because it can be a really long and frustrating process trying to go to the store, buy a bunch of different, and very costly, because you're getting the high quality ammo, trying to figure out, okay, what weight does this gun like, what velocities does it like, you know. It's a long process that I've spent a lot of time and money and frustration with. So knowing I can just go to the store or online and buy this box of ammo that they shot it with and know that's what it's going to work with. So for those of you who don't want to go through that hassle, that's a great option.
So in the Premier family or the Premier lineup, our job is to make your life a whole lot easier at the end of the day.
Yeah. So anything else you want to talk about when it comes to Bergara rifles?
Man, I think that about covers it right there, my friend.
Yeah, if we were to talk about all the lines, we'd be here for an hour. But if anyone wants to know more about the full product line, where can they go?
So guys, number one, I appreciate you guys taking time watching this video and taking time to hang out here at the Las Vegas SHOT Show in 2018. But if you want some more information, please go to BergaraUSA.com.
Awesome. So obviously I'm going to have that link below. Any other social media stuff, I'll link that below also. Hopefully in the near future, I'm going to get with my friend at the range and do a lot more shooting with his rifle, see if we can do a review on that one, just so you guys can get a lot more real world experience from my perspective of what it's like to shoot it. But again, I already fell in love with it, and I'm going to probably try to talk him out of, you know, you don't want that. You should probably just get rid of it and get something else.
I do that every time I take one to the range.
Right, exactly. So thank you very much for talking to us,
Certainly
Tony.
Appreciate your time and your help, my friend.
Absolutely. So we're going to be doing a lot more from SHOT Show 2018, so stay tuned for that. But as always, hope you got something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.
Take care, my friends.
That's a hit. It's a hit.
It's a pretty long order from what I read.
That's a hit.